Hey, I'm Cecily Korst. Welcome to the trailer.
The Trailer Talks is brought to you by Imaging DNA. Find out more at imagingdna.com.
My name is Frank Gustafson, and what do? I do a lot of things. I've got a podcast called Lead Like a Marine and a business called One Bold Move, where we focus on supporting entrepreneurs and leaders in business.
Excellent. So tell me about your journey to this point.
Well, I think, if you take a look, the guy sitting before you has got, I didn't really get in a lot of trouble as a kid, and when I was in high school, I just couldn't stand to be told what to do. I hated authority. I hated somebody having their thumb on me. I wanted to do what I wanted to do, and it's not that I wanted to do the bad thing, or not that I wanted to do the wrong thing. I just wanted to do my own thing. So my guidance counselor called me in 2 weeks left in school in my senior year and said, "Hey, just want to let you know you're not going to graduate." I'm like, "What are you talking about, not graduating?" She said, "You've got too many absences. You're not going to graduate. You're only getting credit in one class." And I said, "Which class is that?" And she said, "Reading." I said, "Well, I've skipped my reading class as much as I skipped any other class. We got a problem here." She said, "Well, that's the only one you're getting credit in." I said, "Hey, I appreciate you letting me know that. And can I go back to class?" And she said, "Yeah." I didn't go back to class. I went and got my car and I drove home, or I probably went to work. I was working 2 part-time jobs all the way through high school, and my dad came home 3 days later and said, "Hey," he came home every day, but 3 days later he came home and said, "How was school today?" And I said, same as always." And he said, "Well, they called me today and said that you haven't been there this week." And I said, "I'm not going back either." And he said, "Yeah, you are." I said, "Dad, I'm not getting credit. I'm not going to graduate. I'm not going back. It's a waste of time." He said, "You're going back to school. As long as you live in my house, you're going to be in school." I said, "Well, I guess I don't live here anymore." And he said, "Well, don't let the doorknob hit you where the good Lord cracked you." So I left, and I went and I lived under a friend's table in an efficiency apartment for a while. I lived in the back of my Volkswagen Bug, and I just knew that there was something missing in my life, and I wasn't sure what it was. And I finally realized that what I was missing was discipline. And I'm like, where the heck am I going to get discipline? I remember a couple years prior seeing the Marine Corps Silent Drill Team at the State Fair of Texas, and I said, those guys are disciplined. I got to go do that. So I went, joined the Marine Corps, and called my dad and said, "Hey, I just want to let you know I joined the Marine Corps." "No, don't do that. Come on, we'll talk this over and we'll get this figured out." "Too late, Dad. I've already done it." And that was absolutely the best thing that I've ever done in my life. And it was kind of, somebody who hates authority and couldn't stand to be told what to do goes and joins the Marine Corps. The point is that I realized what I was missing in life, and that's the piece that I needed to go after. And was it painful? Sure, it was painful, because I was told what to do a lot in boot camp. I mean, that's 13 weeks of being told what to do constantly, and is the best thing I've ever done. I learned a lot about life in general and how to really take the bull by the horns and go after what you want, and really stay focused. I spent 30 years in executive management, executive leadership in a couple of different companies. The last company that I was with, we started with 5 people and grew that business. Now that I think they're somewhere around 900 people and about a $500 million business. And then I spent my last 5 years in small business as an entrepreneur, as a small business owner.
Wow, going from the military to being this, because you're living a pretty creative life. What was that transition?
People think about the military and they think about that it's all regimented. You get up when they tell you to get up, you do what they tell you to do, you go to bed when they tell you to go to bed. It's really more creative than that. I think that, in the Marine Corps, people are almost expected to be creative. You kind of have the marching orders and you kind of have the mission in mind, but how you accomplish that mission a lot of time is up to the small unit leader.
Very cool.
So there's a lot of creativity there.
So who's your biggest advocate?
Oh, my wife, no doubt about it. She's amazing. She's the most creative person I know, and she tells me she's told me all my life that I'm creative. For the last 25 years, and most of the time I don't believe her. I haven't believed her. It's been a real struggle to really understand that I've got a creative bone in my body, actually.
So what's the most fun part about your work?
We've got a brand new baby bulldog. She is an English bulldog, and we got her. We've had her for about 6 months now, and since we got her, the funnest thing in my life has been she wakes me up at about between 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning. I take her out. She does her business. She eats. Then she goes back out and does the rest of her business, and then she comes in my office and lays down in my chair, and the chair next to my desk, and I get to work, and that I love. I love her. I love that, and I just love being my own boss and really having my destiny is. I know that my destiny is in my hands every single day.
So what's the most difficult thing you've had to do to get to this point?
The most difficult thing that I've had to do is probably when I had my own business. When I started a small recycling business, I grew the business to 8 people. So it was really a small business. And every single day I had to get up in the morning and figure out what I was going to do to create revenue. And the way you create revenue, obviously, is you have to provide a service or a product or solve a problem, bring a solution to the table for a customer. And I believe we did a really good job at that. And, I never missed a payroll. I never bounced a check during the whole 5 years that I had my business. And I think that was probably the most difficult thing, is just to really kind of bring that whole thing together and make it work.
So what is success for you in the future?
I've always the journey has always been the success to me. Success has never really been, it's never really been a destination. Success is being out of debt. Success is living where I want to live. Success is being able to spend time with my wife and my kids. I've got 3 kids, 28, 23, and 21. And they're off, doing their own thing. And success is seeing them succeed in life and move forward in life. I think I guess that's my definition of success. It's not having $1 billion in the bank necessarily.
So what was this last year's Pinch Me moment for you?
It was really cool. Like you, I was out at New Media Expo, and I got to meet a lot of my heroes. To sit down and talk with Chris Brogan and Michael Stelzner and John Lee Dumas and some of these guys who are just such big hitters in the industry. That was probably, and that just happened 3 weeks ago, and that was probably my Pinch Me moment for this year.
Yeah, that was really cool. I am now like a Scott Stratton disciple. I'm consuming everything that he's putting out, and the QR codes kill kittens cracked me up. Oh my gosh.
I actually went and talked to him afterwards, and I said, Scott, the thing that I loved about your talk is that's exactly what I want to do. My goal in life is to be a speaker. I'm going through my certification right now, my coach, speaker, trainer certification through the John Maxwell team. And my goal in life is to speak. I want to get out of this office and get out and talk to thousands and thousands of people. And Scott really motivated me. I went up to him afterwards and I said, Scott, that was fantastic. It wasn't so much, you had a great message and I love the message, but it was how you delivered the message, and it was how your stage presence and the way that you just kind of spoke your piece. I just absolutely love that.
That's kind of a cool goal. Any other goals that you have for this next year?
It's interesting that you say that, because I actually, at New Media Expo, the military track, which was kind of sparse, I actually kind of set and I'll throw this out there to your entire listening audience. One of those things is you have a goal, and if you kind of keep it to yourself, you're never really committed. My goal is to talk at New Media Expo next year, whether it's on a panel or whether it's have my own breakout or whatever. That's my goal.
Let's do a panel together.
Excellent. Let's do it.
So how do you keep your goals in front of you? Do you have a certain way you do that?
That's difficult, because I've never been really a list maker. I'll make a list and then it'll get shuffled. I'm a piler. I've got piles everywhere. So that's a difficult one. I'm trying to be more disciplined in using Evernote to try to help me kind of keep some of those things organized. But how do I keep my goals out in front of me? I think that, in my podcast, it's easy to stay focused on that, because every once in a while I'll get an email or I'll get a message from a veteran or from somebody who is either in the process of transitioning or is thinking about transitioning or has transitioned and says, hey, I listened to your podcast and I absolutely loved your stories and it really helped me out a lot. That helps me stay absolutely laser focused on the Lead Like a Marine podcast because I am passionate about that. So I think some of that feedback helps me stay focused. And then I'm just kind of a driven person. I'm no nonsense type A, get it done type person.
You're a Marine.
Yeah.
What of your work do you think resonates most with your audience?
I've got such a passionate audience. My audience, I've niched it down to Marines. I had one Navy guy on the show, and I've got John Lee Dumas, an Army guy, coming on the show here pretty quick. So I'm not just focused on Marines. I'm focused on all veterans in any walk, in any of the branches. So I think resonating with those folks, with the audience on my podcast, is really simple. And I think it's just the stories that they hear from other guys and other service members who have transitioned and successfully transitioned, and them talking about their leadership skills and that kind of thing. I think that really resonates with my audience.
So what's the one thing that you think everyone should know about living a creative life?
When you're living a creative life and when you're in your zone, so to speak, you can feel it, and you just kind of know that it's going on. And I say, when you feel that, focus on it. Focus on it with a passion and a vim and a vigor, and go after it. And don't give up. Most people give up right before success. Don't give up. If you're passionate about something, stay with it. And when your creative juices are flowing, you're going to know it.
So where can people find you and your podcast and your websites? And
best place to reach me is, I'm on every social media out there. Twitter at F Gustafson. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. You can get to any of those through my website, which is oneboldmove.com. And at the top of the page on One Bold Move is a link to my podcast. It's called Lead Like a Marine.
Are you going to write a book?
I wrote a book called 14 Core Leadership Traits, a Marine Corps Approach to Business Leadership. And I'm in the process of through the podcast and through all the things the interviews that I'm doing, kind of building that ebook out to a real book. And yeah, that's my goal, is to have that thing published here by the middle of the year.
Awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Wow. Every time I ask you about something, there's another goal. I'm like, wow, great. Thanks so much for being on the Trailer Talks. I really appreciate it.
So I appreciate it. Thanks a lot for having me on.
All right. Yeah. Excuse me, the dog's snoring. Hey, dog. Hey.
Mine snores a lot too.
Yeah.